Don't jump, the human dad said, pulling the infertile alien woman back from the bridge. The rain fell in sheets across the Meridian Bridge, each drop creating tiny explosions on the wet pavement. Marcus Chen clutched his 4-year-old son Tommy closer to his chest as he jogged across the pedestrian walkway, his jacket doing little to shield them from the downpour. The bridge stretched endlessly before them, a steel and concrete lifeline connecting the human settlement to the Zyrathi district on the other side of the bay. "Daddy, I'm cold," Tommy whimpered, burying his face against Marcus's shoulder. "I know, buddy. We're almost there. Just a little further, and we'll be at Aunt Sarah's place where it's warm." Marcus picked up his pace, his shoes splashing through puddles that had formed in the uneven concrete. That's when he saw her. She stood at the edge of the bridge, her hands gripping the rain-slicked railing. Her skin had that distinctive emerald tint that marked her as Zyrathi, and even through the rain, Marcus could see her whole body trembling. She wore a simple white dress that clung to her form, now translucent and heavy with water. Her dark hair hung in wet strands around her face as she stared down at the churning waters below. Marcus's heart lurched. He knew that posture, that desperate stillness before someone made an irreversible choice. "Ma'am," he called out, slowing his approach. "Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman didn't turn. She lifted one foot, placing it on the lower rung of the railing. Without thinking, Marcus closed the distance between them in 3 quick strides. He grabbed her arm with his free hand, the one not supporting Tommy, and pulled her back from the edge with all his strength. She stumbled backward, colliding with him. They both nearly fell, but Marcus managed to keep his balance, still holding his son tightly with one arm while steadying the woman with the other. "Let me go," she cried out, her voice breaking. Her accent was thick, the common tongue clearly not her first language. "Please, just let me go." "I can't do that," Marcus said firmly, positioning himself between her and the railing. Tommy had started crying, frightened by the commotion. "Tommy, it's okay, son. Everything's okay." The woman's eyes, large and amber, like a cat's, finally focused on him. Then they dropped to the small boy in his arms, and something in her expression cracked. She sank to her knees on the wet pavement, her shoulders shaking with sobs that mixed with the sound of the rain. Marcus knelt beside her, awkwardly trying to balance Tommy and reach out to her at the same time. "Hey, it's all right. Whatever it is, it's going to be all right." "No," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the storm. "Nothing will ever be all right. I am broken, useless. In my culture, a woman who cannot bear children has no purpose, no value." Marcus felt his chest tighten. He'd heard stories about Zyrathi society, about their rigid social structures, and how they valued reproduction above almost everything else. The Zyrathi had only arrived on Earth 5 years ago, refugees from a dying world, and integration had been difficult for both species. "That's not true," Marcus said gently. "Your worth isn't determined by whether you can have children." She looked up at him, rain and tears streaming down her face. "You don't understand. My mate, he left me 3 months ago when the physicians confirmed I could never conceive. My family has disowned me. I have no place in this world anymore. I am Koresh, barren. Empty." Tommy had quieted down, now watching the woman with curious eyes. He reached out one small hand and touched her cheek. "Why are you green?" he asked with the innocent directness only a child could manage. Despite everything, the woman almost smiled. "Because I am Zyrathi. We are all green." "I think green is pretty," Tommy said. "Like grass and trees." Marcus adjusted his grip on his son. "Listen, I don't know much about Zyrathi culture, but I know something about feeling worthless. My wife, Tommy's mother, she died 2 years ago. Cancer. And I spent a long time thinking I couldn't do this alone, that Tommy deserved better than a single father who barely knew how to boil water without burning it. The woman's amber eyes met his. But you have your son. You have purpose. No, Marcus said, shaking his head. My purpose isn't just being a father. That's one part of who I am, but it's not the whole thing. Before Tommy, I was a teacher. I helped kids learn, helped them see the world in new ways. That mattered. That had value. And now I do both. I teach, and I'm a dad. But if something happened and I couldn't be a father anymore, I'd still be me. I'd still have worth. He shifted Tommy slightly so he could put his hand on the woman's shoulder. What's your name? Shae'lin, she whispered. Shae'lin, what did you do before all this? Before the mate? Before the diagnosis? She was quiet for a long moment, water streaming down her face. I was an engineer. On my world, I designed irrigation systems for the agricultural districts. I helped feed thousands of people. And you think that doesn't matter anymore? You think all those people you helped don't count because you can't have kids? Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. Shae'lin, your society might tell you that your only value is in reproduction, but they're wrong. Dead wrong. A vehicle passed by on the bridge, its lights cutting through the rain and briefly illuminating the three of them, a human man with a child, kneeling beside a Zyrathi woman on the edge of everything. The integration centers are always looking for engineers, Marcus continued. There's that big water reclamation project starting next month. They need people who understand complex systems. You could help build something that serves both our species. Shae'lin wrapped her arms around herself. You really believe I have value? Even broken as I am. Tommy spoke up again. You're not broken. You just look sad. Daddy's sad sometimes too, but then I hug him and he feels better. Without waiting for permission, the little boy leaned out of his father's arms and wrapped his small arms around Shae'lin's neck. She froze for a moment, then slowly, carefully, hugged him back. A sob escaped her throat. Come on, Marcus said, standing and offering her his hand. Let me take you somewhere dry. Somewhere safe. My sister lives just across the bridge. She'll have warm clothes, hot tea, and she can help us find resources for you. Support groups, job placement, housing if you need it. Shae'lin looked at his outstretched hand for a long moment. Behind them, the railing stood empty and waiting. Before them, a soaked human man with kind eyes and a child who thought green was pretty. She took his hand. Marcus pulled her to her feet, and together they walked away from the edge. Tommy chattered between them, telling Shae'lin about his favorite cartoon and how his daddy made the best pancakes even though they were always a little burned. Shae'lin listened, and with each step, something hardened in her chest began to crack. By the time they reached the other side of the bridge, she was walking on her own. The rain had started to let up, and through the clouds, a single ray of sunlight broke through, painting the wet streets in gold. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in months, she wanted to find out.